Marcoux, the current president of Granite State Woodturners, and he's going to do a bowl with feet. 3, 4, I don't know.
3 feet. 3 feet.
Let me
Okay.
unmute him and I'll.
There you go.
Okay. Hello, everybody. This came about from a critique that Granite State had a couple of years ago, and the critiquer kept expressing about embellishment. Now, I'm not big into embellishment. I make utilitarian things. But it dawned on me of a fairly simple way to add feet to a bowl. Okay, so make a long story short, here's a bowl. I kind of flattened the bottom, and I took a pencil and put a mark a little ways from, this is actually the tenon. I have jaws that go from 2 to 6 inch, so there's probably a 5-inch tenon or something. But the further out your feet are, the easier the finishing becomes. Okay. I have a couple of safety things to say. Turning's dangerous. This is definitely not your typical and absolutely not a newbie project. It's very important that you're confident and you have bevel rubbing down. If you're still getting catches and stuff, I would avoid tackling something like this. Okay, because when you see it, it's going to be whipping around and whatnot. With what I do, one thing that is very important relative to what I'm doing is that I try to get a spherical internal shape. So I have a bunch of these discs, and basically, you know, when I prep this bowl, I try to get a spherical shape, because in the end, you're trying to get a uniform wall thickness. And the very first time I did this, I decided to try to carve out uniform wall thickness, taking some calipers, and so that would give me a witness. Well, after doing a few, I realized I didn't have to do that. I just had to really pay attention to how much I'm taking off. Once you start hitting the actual bowl, you've taken too much off, and you're probably prone to have a failure. The first time I did this demo was in December for Granite State, and I had a failure. And it was because I didn't follow the main rule of having a spherical internal shape. Now, when I say spherical internal shape, here's a bowl that isn't spherical, but the bottom is relative to where the legs are. Okay, and that's mainly because the driver that you use is a friction drive, and so that way when you're turning it, you know, you're trying to make a uniform wall thickness relative to that area. With a lot of these, I end up using blanks that have checks in it. So a lot of times I'm chasing cracks, and I'll end up with a shallower bowl with a lot of meat in the bottom, with like there's some checks here. And so when I set to do the feet, I'll avoid where the crack is. Let's see, what else? Like I said before, I put a line around the outer edge of this. Now I have to divide it into 3 equal things. Now, going back to geometry in school, use a compass and, you know, divide a circle. It's the radius, and that'll make 6 equal circles, and you're looking for 3 equal lines, 120 degrees apart. I actually made some plexiglass pieces to make it simpler, but I actually forgot the one I have. So I'm actually gonna have to go and mark this out. Now this piece I have in the lathe here, I just wanted to show this because a lot of times when I start my second turn bowls, I put it on here. It centers this. I center into the center in the tenon, and that way it trues the rim of the bowl and the tenon working together. The thing is, a lot of times the chunks I work with aren't from half trees. They're from inside huge chunks, and the distortion is drastic of being, you know. So I just wanted to show that one little thing. Okay. So I'm going to try to mark this bowl. Maybe I should move this over this way. You have to forgive me. I'm a little nervous. I do a lot of turning, but it's always by myself, and I don't worry too much about what I'm doing. Here, I'm a little worried that I'm trying to show how to do it right. I don't necessarily do things right all the time. Okay, so you get the radius and do your marks. Now, I ended up making the plexiglass thing because I didn't end up, so I'm gonna touch off there. I'm not gonna worry too much about it. And now I'm gonna connect some points to get 3 lines. Yep, the checks.
You registered on the center and the.
I have where I have the circle that goes around, and I did the radius length around it. I have 6 marks on the outer rim. There's one here, one here, one here, one here, one here, and one here. It's from regular geometry. And I'm gonna have to think this a little bit because I don't want to catch that crack. So let's go with it. Oh boy. Well, you have CA glue, right, Tom?
Yeah.
Okay. If needed. So that will be there. How do I avoid it? See if I go there. I go there, there, yeah. Actually, I'm gonna go with this one, and this one. This one's right on the crack doesn't go down far. Okay, so now when you do this, you're basically doing everything with a friction drive. Okay. And a cup center is not a friend on this. If you do not have a center like I'm about to show you, okay, the key to this is having a internal cone center. Okay, I make these smaller ones that screw on here, but this is critical from a safety standpoint because you're using quite a bit of force and the wood is pressing into the middle of this, where if you use the cup center, when you get small, it would blow it apart. If you don't have a center that's similar to this, you could probably glue a piece of plywood to your piece, and because the interchanging grain on plywood, it's not apt to blow apart, but then you have to deal with removing the plywood at the end. Now, one thing that's true is the larger this is, the easier it is to, you end up with less nub to deal with, a lot less carving or sanding. Okay, so and your driver is really a round, something round. Okay, it doesn't have to be a ball or spherical, but it needs to be round. I'm just going to true this up. And nothing fussy. You just need a really a round surface. Okay, that's fine. Now, depending on how accurate your tailstock is, this part of it, oh, that's yours. This part of it can be pretty important. If you have a tailstock that does not align with the center of your machine, your piece is going to wiggle a bit, okay? And you don't want that, okay? And if you're going right on wood, it's god awful bad noise, okay? Because the wood's creaking and stuff. So I'm taking some double face tape, putting that on there, and this is some, I don't know, I get it at Walmart. It comes in a package, craft foam or whatever. Set that on there. Now, that's going to help eliminate noise from any eccentricity between the live center and your spindle. Okay, so now you see the marks? Let me circle the ones I'm going to use. So I'm going for this one, and this one. Okay, so the line on the outside, the ring around it, I usually put in 1/8 of an inch so from the outer edge of the piece. And then the line coming down this way gives me a location to set the cup center. I'm just wiggling that a little bit. Whoops. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna make it. Okay, so I'm using quite a bit of force because the only thing holding this on here, okay, is this internal cone, okay? You have a friction drive against the driver, which is a round piece, and that's where the spherical internal shape comes important. If you had just a V type thing, you couldn't do this way. Okay. So up until this point, is there any questions? Okay, very good. Okay, so now once I get the tailstock, the tool rest set, I shouldn't have to move it till maybe the very end. But I want to get it close. There we go. That's going to clear. Now I'm taking a pencil, and to start, I'm marking relative to the center. Okay? My circle, this one and this is what I'm using. Okay? So when I start, I'm going to work in that area. I can come out a little ways, but you don't want to get too aggressive. So I actually end up going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth quite a bit. I'm not necessarily an efficient turner. Okay. So I'm going to use a traditional bowl gouge. That's my go-to tool. I have a bowl gouge with a kind of a 40-40 Stuart Batty type of a grind on it. But my go-to tool is a regular traditional grind across, you know, just toot toot. Okay, and slow this down. Oops. Oh boy, there's a big difference. My lathe weighs, I probably have 1,400 pounds on my lathe, so I can, speed is your friend with this stuff, but I'm gonna have to go a bit slower here, so we'll see. Oh boy. I spin so much faster. Well, this may take a little longer than I thought. Now I can see a witness of the line that I actually put in there. You're gonna have trouble seeing because I'm shaking everything. Okay, and I'm just, and again, on my lathe, I'd probably be turning 3 times as fast as I am right now. It's just so much simpler. And as far as right and left, I'm just taking stock off. So I'm not real hip on the crack cutting method. I'm just looking to take some stock out of here. And because this lathe isn't weighed down, it's really going to be a lot slower than sorry about the shaking, folks. So when I set my cameras up, I have the things aren't attached to the lathe or the bench or anything. I haven't actually got to use them yet. Okay, so I don't know if you can see it, but a bit of the crack broke off. Okay, I'm just gonna switch over to another leg and that's an idea. So I'm setting the outer edge of the cone on the line that goes around the diameter. Okay, and trying to get the line that goes to the center, going through the center of the center. Now, once I come back, I have the groove from the last time I mounted it, so it'll be fine. Okay, and when the first couple times I did this, I would mark out to where the other leg was. Okay, but I end up finding if I work on the inside in the middle part first till I get around, then I can start going out further. But I've kind of backed off on my approach to this stuff. Okay, there's the center line right there. I can see it. You probably can't. You probably can't see much of anything because of the shaking. If I turn this up more, yeah. No. I'm truly sorry about the vibrations, folks. My machine weighs 800 pounds and there's 600 pounds of sandbags underneath it. I'm kind of might consider me dangerous.
I highly recommend wearing a face shield. And right now, it's just a matter of removing stock. The bevel rubbing comes more when you get to the finishing. When I get to finishing the leg, when it's round, I end up going to a spindle gouge. And I look to get a burnished finish on the leg itself. With a burnished finish, I try not to have to do much sanding. I'm not big in hand sanding. Okay, I'm gonna go to the next one. And I'll do this over and over and over again. Again, I don't know any better or whatever, but baby steps. That's a saying I live by. Okay, once I get the 3 of those somewhat set, I can go up further. So hopefully this doesn't look too dangerous, but once you start having that much wood cleared out of there, you gotta make sure your hand doesn't come over the tool rest. I haven't done it, and I wouldn't want to. Again, I can go 3 times faster because of the heft on my machine. And any of you that ever worked with natural edge bowls, cutting wings and stuff, you know that the faster that you get past the air, you know, the less time you're in the air and stuff, it's definitely easier. So you just keep going and going and going until you get close to the bowl itself. Now, Tom, can you go to a straight down look? Okay. Okay, you can't see it, but there's actually a shadow of the diameter. Okay. So can you kind of see the phantom of the actual bowl? Okay, the curve of the bowl. Okay, the outside of the bowl right now is a uniform wall thickness to the inside. And let's see where it's ready to go. Okay, so I'm gonna now head out towards the market out by the leg, and I'm gonna try to take some stock off. Again, I apologize for the vibrations. I had no idea. I'm just used to my monster. One more thing. I'm going to do one thing though. I'm putting tape on the tool rest. Okay. So now that, the edge of the tape right here is somewhat relative to the inner thing of the leg. Okay. So that when it's turning, I have that as a thing to tell me how far I can go. Now this is that 45, whatever, Stuart Batty type of thing, 40 grind. It's my version of it. It's not exactly that. Angles are different, but everybody has their preferences. And my body's doing the dance. Okay, I'm rubbing the bevel and I'm turning with my body. I'm going from one leg to the other. The handle of the gouge is up against my body, so I can come out further. Well, I'll tell you, I don't know what we're turning, yeah. I'm probably turning 1,200 RPM at home without batting an eye. Now, I have holes in my sheetrock above the lathe, which is understandable considering that I really do push the envelope a little bit. This is about the extent of any embellishment that I do on stuff. Let's see how we're doing. Okay. So this area, let's go to a top view, Tom. Okay, so if you look, you can see that I'm fairly close to the actual profile of the bowl. Once you get here, now you have to start slowing down. And what you don't want to be doing is going too far into the profile of the bowl. Okay, if you go into the profile of the bowl, there's a good chance you're gonna scrap it. I meant to bring I've scrapped two so far. One at the December demo that I did, and then one that I was practicing for this. So I'm gonna switch to another leg and basically do the same thing. Okay, and I basically just keep going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Now again, you'll see that because the legs are wide on here, okay, and by putting a line here, I used to use Sharpies, but then you end up with some residue inside in the wood and it doesn't always necessarily come out. Some popped off. Ah, that right there. I cannot say how much speed is your friend, especially with air turning. Now you'll notice that once you get into solid wood, it's definitely easier. And again, remember, the only thing holding this on here is that internal cone. Okay? If I didn't have that little foam piece on there, this would probably be making an awful bad screeching noise. Okay. I'm nervous.
I wouldn't still know how to get it. Fucking spinning all around. How could he?
Any questions so far? So that's basically it. And where these feet are so far apart, I'm really not gonna have much finish work. Now, when I do sanding and stuff, I do wet sanding. I wet sand with mineral oil. And I use random orbital sanders, air driven. I have 2 Harbor Freight ones, and I modify the holders as like with everything. I modify freaking out, pardon my French. I definitely modify. Nothing's ever good the way it comes, apparently, with Ron Marcoux. And really, most of the stuff Ron makes. I wish I could go faster. Definitely. That can go a bit further. Okay, so I'm putting pencil mark out here. So it helps visually when you're getting close. Okay, so I just touched there. Okay, I definitely don't want to go any deeper right there. Okay, it just touched the rim of the bowl, of the outer profile. So I'm on this leg, I'm gonna work from there in. There's a spindle gouge.
Where'd I do my count? Okay, I brought some big ass calipers. What did I do with them? Tom, you have some deep calipers?
Over there.
Dog shop. Okay, since he's in there.
Okay, so now I'm going to check the wall thickness. You can't see, but that's not bad. Okay. I can go closer around the bottom of the leg, but I'm going to go to another one. I'm losing an earpiece here. Okay. And I'm just going back and forth. The tape gives me a very good reminder of where I can and cannot go. Okay, so I just started touching right out here. Okay, it's just starting to touch the Oh, yeah, that's good. I like that right there. And the pencil is just so that way gives you a witness if you happen to go into a surface. Okay, that's just almost touching right there. So the key is to just barely touch and or just stay just shy of that. Okay, so that's telling me how far out I can go. And it's baby steps. So at home, I have a my sharpening system is directly behind me. This gouge that I'm using right here is one that I made, so I sharpen very, very often. Probably more than I need to, but sharp tool is a safe tool. Did I mention that I don't consider myself a really good turner? Sandpaper is a tool. So okay, with the spinning, if you look straight down, Tom, you can actually see the shadow of the bowl. Okay, and it looks fairly thin, fairly round, except right near the leg, it's actually a little pronounced. So I'm just gonna go in and this is a nigger brick scraper. Okay, so one thing I learned, I'm sure many of you were at the Mahoney demo, and one of the big things I got from Mahoney's demo is that I now use mineral oil when I'm everything I do gets mineral oil on it. So when I'm doing my shear scraping and stuff, and if by chance I get any tear out, if the wood isn't totally punky, put mineral oil on there, and it helps semi-stabilize the wood and helps eliminate some of the tear out. You know, it works. So this is where I use the spindle gouge. You can go back to the regular. Okay. So this is where I use the spindle gouge. And with the spindle gouge, I'm actually burnishing the finish. Burnishing is kind of a friction polish type thing, I guess. I don't know. So on this shear scraper I have, it was actually bought as a skew, and I turned it into a semi-bullnose shear scraper. I mean, negative rake scraper. And I really like negative rake scrapers, and the way that I grind them, I use them for both inside and outside bowls. Depends what side I grind for the purpose I'm doing. I would say it's probably about a 40 degree. You know, I don't know. It's not real fussy. It's, you know. Okay, so I've got some tear out happening here from my scraping. Let's see if the mineral oil will help a little. I have a little tear out right on here. Now again, I have a sharpening system directly behind me on my machine, and I sharpen a lot. I would have already gone over and done this one. I would have done my traditional bowl gouge probably 4 or 5 times doing this. I sharpen a lot. Did I mention I sharpen a lot? Okay, I'm looking at this. Yeah. Huh? You're what? Oh, we're fine. We're fine. I'm just about done. How are we doing on time? Okay. Did I say that I do a lot of sanding too? Right, yeah. So I'm definitely rubbing the bevel. The bevel is actually what's burnishing the wood. I never said I was the safest turner. Okay, so I'm going to go back to this leg because it's a little proud on material next to the bowl. I don't want to come out past that line. Okay, I'm looking to take inside a bit. Okay, and tell you the truth, that's about as far as I'm going to go with that. Okay, now, let me just pop this off. Wrench. Here. So at my house, I have 7 chucks, but I don't have any adapters in any of them because I put the adapter on my spindle. All the chucks I have come with 1.5" 8. Okay. So these are some cold jaws or jumbo jaws, but as with everything, Ron dicks around with stuff. These plastic pieces are basically soft jaws. I'm a tool maker by trade, and this runs dead bag on my lathe at home because I machined the surface. I'm not going to bother with it here because I didn't bring the tool I used to do that. But when I use these soft jaws, there we go. It usually runs dead freaking bag. Okay, so now, with my pencil, right here. I do not want to go any further in than that. Okay, so on this tailstock, this live center has a 3/4 10 thread on it. I have a wood piece. It won't come out of there. I use the tailstock all the time though. You know. So most everything I do, and when I make stuff, it all has to do with my machining background, and I definitely overthink how to do stuff. Without question. Rather than just go and turn the freaking thing, I always think that I have to make something to make it easier for me to make it. You know, I know you're supposed to turn from the rim to the lip, but I'll tell you, this tool isn't real sharp. Where's your traditional gouge? A traditional gouge, bowl gouge. Just okay. Yeah, that'll work. One of these days, I'll buy a name brand gouge. Until then, I'll live with what I have. Too cheap to spend serious coin. Okay, so I'm all done. I'm done as far as I'm gonna go. Okay. Another thing on my lathe, I have lights. Lots and lots and lots of lights. And did I mention I do a lot of sanding? And it's almost always wet sanding. You know, I turned around, bought a positive air respirator, and I use that when I'm doing the second turning on bowls. But when I sand, I wet sand, and I don't create dust. What I do is I create a mess. And it is a mess. Now we're going to get a little loud. I did bring a couple of random orbitals. With the majority of the bowls I make, oops, 1 minute. Okay, so I just wanted to show you this. I do wet sanding, mineral oil. Everything I make gets coated in mineral oil. I don't care what it is. If it's turnt, I put mineral oil on it. I sand with mineral oil. Now, these are Harbor Freight random 2-inch random orbital sanders. Okay, 29 bucks, 20% off coupon. What's that come out to? $22 or something like that. 25 bucks. I have 2 of these. I have a couple of Winters, Wonders too, and Harbor Freight sells these interchangeable things for $6. Harbor Freight can be on my way home, so I probably have 8 of these. And I make them smaller. Now, the reason I'm showing you this is that when I do the sanding on this, to get in, see how this is really cleared? Let's kill this light. Okay. This is big enough that my 2-inch sander can get in there. Now, I got no problem starting with 80 or 60 grit because I'm removing a bit of stock. I said I wasn't a very good turner. I'm a much better sander. And oh, that's a fine paper. This is 80 grit. I'm going to tackle the nubs. So basically, the nubs are more or less gone. And where I have this modified thing down to probably inch and a quarter, on this one, on this sander, I had a 3-inch disc on there. With the 3-inch disc hanging over, I can actually go up against the wall of the legs. And it doesn't give a defined mark. I'm just using a 2-inch 80 grit on this, and
I use this on majority of the stuff inside of here, and just do a touch of sanding, and basically that's going to be it for the demo. The mineral oil clears your sandpaper. It lasts forever. Okay, I'm not going to go for one thing. I will mention though is the belt dressing sticks work great. Whether you're using a drill with the mineral oil, my sandpaper goes on and on and on. So I haven't been at this that long, and I've almost got the and I go through the grits. In reality, I don't go past 400 because I'm making utilitarian stuff. Just the way I am. That's basically it. Any questions? And oh, one thing on the bottom, I might sand to get rid of the pencil marks, but I usually leave the mark made by the inverted cone. Just, you know, just the way I am. Okay, but, you know, oh, I topped you.
Looks good, Ron.
Okay. And again, this what came about from a critiquer telling us that we should embellish our work. Straight down. Okay, so if you look at it, the intent, you know, I could have gone better, got fussier and whatnot, but okay. And I have a little more sand to do, but there was severe witness. Okay, there's some right here. You know, I sanded out. And honestly, the majority of my sanding, I do not do spinning. I use random orbital 95% of the time. I also have a 60 or 80 gallon compressor. Okay, so while I'm gainfully employed, I've spent money so that way when I'm not working, I won't have to spend as much. And with this bowl, there were some cracks and stuff, so I used some CA glue in here and whatnot, and so this will end up with a general wood bowl finish. If I had nice wood that was all natural wood, again, I'm going to the walnut oil. I haven't gotten to as far as adding wax yet, but I'm anal. I've done like 6-7 coats on stuff and play by ear. So that's basically it.
It's great.
Thank you
Thanks,
very
Ron.
much.
Great demo.
Thank you, Ron. Good job.
Okay. Well, at least,
Thank you. Good job.
okay. At least you said you didn't scrap it.
Thank you, Ron.
Anything else? Have anything to close up with? Okay, thank you. I'll let you know what's going on for next month.